In round 3, we've got Heat 2. We've got Richard Jute here. He has won races here at Formula Fast in the Brkc before. Yoan Medart, Dan Healey, Greg Smith, Derek Jones, Michal Grzyb, Opnithi Puyato, Adam Preston, Greg Laporte and Sebastian Borek in this race. So this is going to be quite a tough one here, because 3 of the Blue Star Racing team guys are actually out in action together. That being Yoan Medart, who races for the main #1 team, Blue Star Racing. From the second team, we've got Puyato with former world champion Greg Laporte scoring for the second team as well. All 3 of them are going to be very fast. Richard Jute is very fast down here. We've got the times coming in now. Puyato starts the ball rolling with a 33.3. Borek has put a time in. Greg Smith's put a time in. So is Adam Preston, and Richard Jute runs second now, 33.5, but topping it is Dan Healey. He's been beaten by Greg Laporte. Greg Laporte, former world champion, has now been beaten by Grzyb, and Yoan Medart's gone fastest. My goodness me, Derek Jones puts himself in 7th, and that is probably the best single qualifying that Derek Jones has had. So, what a result there. We've got Yoan Medart on the pole position now from Michal Grzyb. Now Greg Laporte, former world champion, in 3rd. Dan Healey in 4th. Puyato is going to be quite surprised to find himself 5th there. Richard Jute doing his best in 6th. And then Derek Jones, a surprising performance there. We normally see Derek Jones 9th to 10th, but he'll be very pleased to find himself 7th. And he's looking to get into the 70s overall this championship out of 100. And that's the kind of thing that's going to help him get the points to do that. Greg Smith follows, and then Sebastian Borek and Adam Preston.
I enjoyed my chat with Lee Hackett, race winner of that last race. The excitement and just buzzingness of him, it was oozing. It's infectious. Now I'm buzzing too.
Sometimes you're talking to someone and you can just tell they've been in the motor race, can't you? Yeah. And that was Lee Hackett right there. You could see it on the screen. This one, though, Spanners, is going to be tough indeed. We've got Yoan Medart at the front from Michal Grzyb. And Michal Grzyb is the one who's been 4-time Polish champion.
That's completely different to how you said it last time.
No, there's 2 Grzybs.
Oh, is there?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
This is the brother.
Mm. Oh, right, there's 2 of them.
There's 2 of them. So, yes,
Not
it will be completely different
them.
because otherwise I'd be cheating. Yeah. So,
who's my favourite here? I don't know. Well, Jones. I will be gunning for Jones to get a good result
Derek
here.
Jones, and that's a surprisingly high starting position for him, isn't it? Normally we see him 9th or 10th.
It took me that long to get up here.
There he is in 7th place, and that could be something. Wow. This could be where he gets the points that elevates him a bit further up the championship than he has been before. So taking the start, it's Yoan Medart, and that is quite a clear start there by Yoan Medart. He's got a bit of a jump on Michal Grzyb there, and Greg Laporte is in 3rd. He's the one who's really trying to put some pressure on Grzyb. He's going to want to get in contact with the leader, Medart. Greg Laporte does need some serious points. There was disqualification early for Greg Laporte for a bad pass, which obviously didn't weigh back, so then got DQ'd. So he does need some points to continue his championship success. Dan Healey follows him, and Puyato behind him. Spanners, this is going to be quite a tough one to get to the front of, though, isn't it? There's a 4-car breakaway at the moment with Healey at the back, and someone's in the pits already. That is Borek.
Well,
Sebastian Borek.
I was quite pleased, being kind of Team Jones for this race, that he's kept it clean and managed to hold that place. So maybe that's why Borek's decided he doesn't want to be in that 4-car chain, because there was a bit of a gap opening up. So it'd be interesting to see where Jones shakes out compared to Borek.
Well, absolutely. I think but Borek pitted from behind Jones, didn't he?
Yes.
So I think you know, Jones will probably stay in front, but Jones has got a little bit of increasing pressure from Greg Smith, and you know, Greg Smith is there, and he's trying to pile some pressure on Jones. Jones, though, you know, he's been doing it long enough now that he can probably deal with this, can't he?
He knows which way the corners go,
but he knows not to lose places.
But Smith is nothing if not passionate as well, so that'll be a good battle to watch.
Yes, it is. As they come down the back stretch, it is, of course, Yoan Medart leading the way from Grzyb, with Greg Laporte, Dan Healey and Puyato then. So there's Medart, there's Grzyb, and Greg Laporte is dropping back a bit from Grzyb.
Yeah, I was going to say, Healey's putting the pressure on Laporte, isn't he? So, but we know Healey can do that.
Well, Healey's trying to maintain his gap to Medart. It just so happens that Laporte is in between it, but Laporte is actually close back on the leaders. Just a couple of corners there has put Laporte right back where he was, on the tail of Grzyb.
Yeah, it's a solid top 5 now, isn't it?
Now he's looking up the inside.
Oh, great work by the cameraman there to make sure that we had a look at Laporte's battle there, and Medart slightly pulling away.
Yeah, Sebastian Borek has received a penalty. He pitted too early. You can't pit on the first lap, and I think that's when he went in. But in the pits, that's not Borek. That is Gary Smith, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, sorry, Greg Smith. Greg Smith. Yeah, Greg Smith is in and out of the pits.
So he's trying to leapfrog Jones there.
Definitely trying to leapfrog
that's unlucky
Jones.
for Borek. You like the thinking, but he's obviously just had a rush of blood.
Well, he obviously, needs to get the old abacus out and pull one across as the laps trip down. So poor old Sebastian Borek there has been given a penalty. He's going to have to take another pit stop, and of course 2 pit stops, and everyone has to take one. It's going to be a bit of a hard one to come back from.
What's an abacus, Uncle James?
It's something that helps you count.
Like a calculator?
Well, an old calculator before the digits and stuff. Right, so we've got Yoan Medart 5 laps in, and he's on the backstretch in the lead there. He's coming under increasing pressure by Grzyb, who's actually been followed by Laporte and Dan Healey. Dan Healey is maintaining the same kind of distance from the leader Medart that he had before, and it's the others in between who are sort of kind of going backwards and forwards, so to speak. And Puyato, of course, is not far behind Dan Healey. He's keeping Dan Healey honest there. There they are. With Healey 4th, and here comes Puyato with the orange helmet 5th.
Puyato driving quite aggressively as well, taking a big chunk out of that turn 3 inside apex, and it's survived quite well, that thing, considering how much flex the drivers have put it through.
Yes, it's well, they've certainly been flexing it. It's a corner that's being clipped as people are trying to cut it as tight as possible.
If they were to solidify that corner right now, that would catch a lot of guys out, but it's at the moment
there'll be a few crashes.
Yeah, you can see that first metal joint. You can almost drive through.
Been touched there, hasn't it?
Touched a lot.
And so Medart with the lead, and Medart has now got Grzyb still 0.3 second behind, but he's very close behind. And Puyato does look like he's closing in on the leader by dint of closing in on everybody else. So they're on the back stretch now, all 5 there in picture.
Yeah, I think the top 4 have certainly closed up. So that gap between 2 and 3.
Yeah, Greg Laporte seems to drop away a little bit, but now he's pulled it back. He's within a whole second of the leader, which is Medart. He's 0.7 of a second behind. Dan Healey has closed that gap from Medart to himself in 4th to down to 1.0 seconds. So the whole thing is closing in on Medart. Puyato, I'm not sure what gains he's made. I wasn't quite looking at his times, but he's certainly staying with the lead group. So it seems like everyone's closing in on race leader Medart, who's now coming through to complete 9 laps next time by.
Well, Laporte was looking over his shoulder down the back straight, thinking, where's Healey gone? Suddenly there was a gap from Laporte to Healey.
Yeah, interestingly, Grzyb is the one who's got the fastest lap of this lot. He's not the only one into the 32 seconds, because also, incredibly, is Dan Healey, who's there in 4th place. Dan Healey and Michal Grzyb are the ones who are fastest on the track at the moment.
I think this is going to be fun to watch down the back straight. No one's having a move at the moment, but they are close enough to start thinking about moves. And it's not so much that they're going to make a lunge into that hairpin, it's pulling other drivers out of position and forcing them to adjust what they're doing, making them go to their plan B. Yeah, indeed, and possibly from that forcing a plan C when they find someone unexpected alongside them. Because with Medart 10 laps in and a 0.2 of a second lead, Laporte is 0.6 behind. Dan Healey's now to 1 second exact. Puyato maybe is the only one who's not making inroads. I think the gap is staying the same. Puyato to the leader, but everyone else within is closing up. So let's say Jones hits now, and he's the one that's sort of blocking the leaders from pitting. Which one of those top 5 would you say to, yeah, that's it, Jones has come in, let's go, let's do it? Any one, but make sure that you don't follow anyone in. Yeah. Be willing to bail. Yeah, I'd say any one of those top 5 would need to pit, but if anyone's right in front of you, bail out of it. Well, in fact, we saw someone hit the pit exit. Easier said than done. If you committed to the pits, it's a serious bit of, should we call it, recommitment, because once you commit to the pits, because you're actually going faster going in the pit lane and you are taking the corner, it's quite a big ask, and it did get tried before and it did involve a crash. So it has been done and messed up before, for sure, because you'd lose time anyway running wide through the turn, even if you didn't hit the end of the barrier. What a fantastic front 4 this is now. Look how close they all are. We've got a great 4-way battle. The gap between Gerber and Laporte has gone, the gap between Laporte and Healey has gone, and now they're just nose to tail. So this back straight they're approaching now is going to be fun to watch.
Absolutely, and even Puyato down there in 5th is closing the gap to the leader. It's down to 1.8. Medart is definitely going to be fighting a rearguard action, and he's going to be fighting against 4 other karts who are equally battling with each other. None of these 3 you could rule out from coming through on this one, but you have to say Medart is looking strong. There's a lot of pressure there, but it's not getting to him at all. There's no mistakes.
I think if you look at the qualifying, you've got to think that Medart can respond. So right now, there's no reason for him to really push unless he was going to make a massive gap. But as soon as someone pits, and like we'll see with Hackett in the last race, Hackett was able to then suddenly turn on that lap time. And does Medart fancy himself trading lap times? Probably does.
Yeah, absolutely, and so it will be interesting. I mean, there's 5 people to choose from. Surely somebody's got the idea to pit. If they did pit now, well, if the leader pitted, he would be coming out right in front of Derek Jones, but I think he would come out ahead just.
That's the least
if any
likely
of the others
five,
pitted, they might find that they're actually side by side with Derek or behind him. Obviously, that could be a problem because they're going to have to fight their way through, and there's still 12 minutes to go. So if Derek was pitting late, it could be a bit of an issue there. But we're getting to the point. I think once they're clear of Derek Jones, any one of these 5 could pit, and then it would be reasonable to pit and see what they can do running on their own. Some of them have got to suspect that they're actually losing time here.
The top 4 are just about clear of the Jones window.
Fastest on track at the moment is Laporte, who's in 3rd place. I think Puyato seems to have dropped back a bit. The gap between him and 1st place Medart has opened up to 2.5 seconds, and it was actually under 2, and the driver I'm talking about is the 5th one in this lineup. So there he is in picture. Visibly dropping back now is Puyato.
Oh, this is such a tense tactical time where they're all sitting there going, who's going to budge? The least likely is Medart. He's not going to pit first. He's got to wait for one of those rear 3 to make a decision. And I don't sense at this moment that Puyato is in for the win.
No, I think you're right now. I think Piato's actually, well, he's taken the 10th off it, but he's not as convincing maybe as the 3 in front of him. Really, where does the pitter come from? They're all going to be leaving it increasing later. They're halfway through the race now. Maybe, I mean, if they all come in at the end, that's going to be 5 of them trying to pit with the last couple of laps. Somebody's going to get messed up there, aren't they?
Kind of want to see that. All right, let's place your bets. I think it's Healey. Healey for me. He's the one that's going to make the move.
I reckon Healey's probably best placed to do something like that. But you know, he's consistently around about 1 second behind Medart. But the big question would be Laporte, because Laporte is probably the one who's most on the case of the driver in front of him, which is Grzyb. So Laporte may be the one most benefiting by finding something that, you know, he's not getting running in the middle of the pack.
You know, it's quite a skill running nose to tail in a chain like that.
Yeah, it is.
Me, I would have at least hit the car in front or brake early and make the car in back.
Into the bits, it is Healey. Healey does come in.
There we go, called it.
Yeah.
He's out of his seat as well. He's doing the Barsh manoeuvre. That looks solid.
Dead stop there. Yeah, this isn't looking bad at all.
No, that looks solid.
We'll see what it's done for the time.
What interestingly as well.
Oh, it's very good on time, really. It's just over 10 seconds, about 10.3. So a great pit stop there by Dan Healey. He's done what he needed to do. It's now down to the others to match him or beat him. Now, Greg Laporte put his arm up there. There's no reason why he's going to be talking about anything except warning Puyato that he's going to be taking the pits. So maybe it's Laporte in. Yes, it is. You see, he's in the same team as Puyato, and he would not want it to have messed up Piato's race by, you know, pitting and then have Puyato committed to pitting. There's another car coming in. It looks perfect. But it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, he's ahead of Healey. He's ahead.
And that looks like Richard Jute, who's also pitting. Richard Jute pitting from 6th place there. But what's happened up ahead now? Where is Healey? Reference to Greg Laporte. Healey is behind Laporte.
As they were.
By about the same distance. Yeah, they've matched each other really there. Laporte's pit stop was the same, but basically on time. In the pits, though, is the 12.
I'm sure he came in before.
Yeah,
he came in early,
But the number 10, of course, is Grzyb. This is the key one. This is out of 2nd place, Grzyb. They're coming in thick and fast.
It's a good stop. It's a good stop. And
Grzyb is coming out. What is he on? Oh, that's a good one as well. So he's just over, about 10.5 seconds there by Grzyb. They're very good pit stops here, and it's throwing the gauntlet straight in the face of Medart to actually match them.
So what does he do? What does he do, coach? Does Medart come in, or does he match them? Because those 3 are now in a 3-way scrap.
He's not listening to what we're saying. He's coming in his own accord. Medart, though, clatters the barrier on both sides coming in by looks of that. It's a bit of a messy stop. This is like a pressured-looking stop, isn't it?
I don't know. I think time-wise, I think he's nailed it.
Well, let's have a look. Yes, you're absolutely right. He's Well, he's just about 10.5 seconds, so he's matched it with the others. So 10.5 seconds sort of lap time, pit stop time for Yoan Medart. Puyato's not come in, but into the pits at the moment is Adam Preston. Adam Preston there. He was 87th in the championship last year. He's looking to score a lot of points to push up the order this time. There's Adam Preston coming out the pits. There's Yoan Medart in the lead, the Blue Star team driver leading the race, and he does have Grzyb behind him. Ever so slightly bigger gap, but pretty much situation normal.
I think Medart knew he had the pace in hand. He knew that once the other guys had pitted, all he had to do was floor it, get a good in lap, get a good pit stop and come out, because he was fairly comfortable. And if you look at his advantage now, it is more, certainly over fourth place Healey, than it was before the pit stop. So I think he's been in control of this the whole time. He's had a blinding race.
Absolutely, and well, let's have a little look at things. What were we saying about just over a second Healey to Medart? And so on that basis, yes, absolutely, it's now up to 2 seconds the gap there. So the big sort of winner is actually Medart.
Only 2 seconds?
Yeah, it's 2 seconds Medart,
right.
That is
over Healey.
Over Healey. 15, of course, is Derek Jones. Now, Derek Jones, we saw qualify 7th. He's going to try and keep that position as much as he can. This is a chance for him to score some decent points. He does drop down the order to 8th, but potentially there's something to come there with people pitting around him. So we'll see what happens there. It does look though as they've been leapfrogged by Greg Smith.
Well. Now then, there's a hand up from the leader thanking Jones for being a good and responsible responder to the blue flags.
Yeah, and there is the leader, Yoan Medart. He's on his own, clearly. Gosh.
Yeah, hang on.
Well, that's Puyato. Sorry, Puyato we're looking at. He is actually the leader.
That was my fault.
That's all right. He's yet to pit. He's yet to pit. Now, there are 6 minutes remaining. Is he going to come in? No, not this time. Puyato's staying out in the lead.
I think,
now,
yeah, he's got a shot to nothing, really, hasn't he? He's hoping the leaders are going to trip over each other.
Well, he can actually do some leapfrogging here, because if he manages to pull out some kind of gap, remember he was running 5th. At the moment, he could end up in 4th, or possibly, if it goes really well, in 3rd. So Puyato is actually making up time, and we'll see how this shapes up.
Honestly, if Puyato manages to get in between Laporte and Healey into 4th, I'm going to declare him the champion of racing, because there is no gap between those two
Well,
drivers.
if he stays out there a bit longer and keeps setting these times, he may well end up leapfrogging not only Healey but also Laporte. He might come out in front of both Healey and Laporte if he can do it, because he's now got nearly 11 seconds up on Laporte. So if this is the blinding of blindest pit stops, I mean, we're talking Lee Hackett levels of pit stop here, then obviously, you know, there could be something in it for Puyato, and it could be a 3rd place.
He's going to earn that star that I'll offer him.
Oh, yes, he will.
I owe Hackett. By the way, Lee Hackett, if you're listening, you can come and get a gold star for your helmet from me. I've got loads to give away.
Okay then, so there's Laporte with Healey in tow. They've really closed up there, Healey and Laporte. It's less than 0.3 of a second, about 2.5 tenths. It's really close indeed. It actually looks even closer than that now. That was the last time over the start-finish line. It's probably going to be closer this time. There they are on screen, crossing the line. It is definitely getting closer all the time there. There's Medart, though. He's got Grzyb even closer than before on him, so this is looking a bit cagey. They are passing a back marker who's got well out of the way. Looked like Adam Preston, that. But Grzyb is now in a position to challenge Medart. Medart really does not want to be losing time, because when he does lose time, he'll lose it to Puyato, who I think could come out in 3rd place now. It's not about getting between Healey and Laporte. I think it's about leapfrogging the pair from Piato's point of view. Yep. Every lap he's doing is beating them. He's not the fastest out there, that is Medart, but he is certainly running quicker than Laporte and Healey, so he's making time on them.
Who both, unfortunately, have tripped over a back marker, so expect that gap to increase.
So it could be even worse now, couldn't it, from their point of view. And, well...
He's staying out.
He is.
4 minutes to go, so he's got to pick his moment carefully. I think if he comes in now, he's good.
I think what's happened is he's realised that when he's on his own, he's staying out longer. He's not really thinking about trying to come out and win the race. He's trying to come out and be 3rd. He just wants to make sure he's ahead of Laporte. He knows that Medart and Grzyb, he's not in that game, but he is possibly going to leapfrog Laporte and Healey. The longer he leaves it out, the more scope he has in the pit lane without coming out alongside them. So I think he'll run this one right to the death. Well, you watch, he'll come straight in now, but I don't think he will. No, he hasn't. He's going to leave this one as late as he can, because he's making time all the way.
How many times have we seen today the advantage of running on your own, as opposed to what Laporte and Healey are doing, which is, oh, look, they lost 3 seconds, 0.3 trying to get past the back marker. It's closed up slightly. It's gone back to 11.6 seconds now from Puyato to Laporte. So Laporte has once again shown that running around on your own is a huge advantage here.
And every lap, Puyato makes up some time on them. So every lap, Puyato is taking pressure off his own pit stop by staying out longer and doing more and more and more laps. Because he's going faster than Laporte and Healey, who are currently listed as 4th and 5th. When he does come out the pits, he's more likely to stay in front of them. The longer he stays out, the better. But he's now on to 2 minutes 40, so it may well be time to just call it quits and come in on this lap. By the time he gets round, it's going to be only 2 minutes remaining, and he does not want to leave on the last lap because he'll get a penalty for it and he'll lose.
So it's 11.7 now.
Yeah, if we're doing the virtual
coach,
manager, yeah, he needs to come in now. And here he is towards the pits. He's coming in. He's raised his arm. He's thinking the same thing, and into the pits comes Puyato. Puyato, one of the best in the business. He's made a good first stop. It only needs to be 11.5. He's got time in hand, but he doesn't then have anything to waste. It's looking good. And does he come out?
Yes.
Yes, he does. He's managed to leapfrog both Greg Laporte and Dan Healey. An amazing piece of indoor karting there by Puyato. Puyato has, well, look at that. He was behind these two, but he's now comfortably ahead. And that was all running on his own, even though he was falling away from them earlier. I think just that time in the lead on his own had done him the world of good, and he's found some speed. He had the pace when he needed it, and that's when it's going to translate into victory. We've got less than 2 minutes to go, 1 minute 30 now, as Puyato there we're looking at in 3rd place, but it is Medart leading by 0.3 seconds from Michal Grzyb, and let's have a look further down the order. Jones is 8th, Greg Smith is in 7th, Richard Jute is still 6th, Healey is 5th, as we know, with Laporte. That's probably where it's going to stay. They've been leapfrogged. There's Derek Jones just moving out the way of the two leaders. That's Yoan Medart, who we saw give a real run for his money to Ruben Boutens last year in the final. He was 3rd on his Brkc debut. And the flag will be out very soon. I think this will be the last lap. They're starting now. There's Medart. There's the Polish driver, Grzyb. And Derek Jones is the one behind. He's not in contention with those two leaders that we're looking at there. It's further back, Puyato, who is only 2 seconds behind them. And that is as close as Puyato has been all race long to the race leader. Before the pit stops, Puyato was looking further back than that. So Puyato has really found some speed when he was free to run on his own without being that 5-car group. So probably the big gainer there has been Opnithi Puyato there from Belgium. And it is the checker out now, and the race win for Yoan Medart, as close as you like, 0.2 of a second from Michal Grzyb. Puyato comes through in 3rd, just 2 seconds back from them. It's going to be Laporte and Healey, and of course Jute, Smith, Jones, Preston and Borek rounding out that top 10 there. What a race that was. That was really one that Yoan Medart had to do the business to stay in the lead. He was the early leader, but it wasn't a convincing one because they were all stacked up behind him. And the big gainer was probably Puyato from 5th to 3rd place. So an amazing result there by Yoan Medart. Great show by Grzyb, but the real hero of the race, probably Puyato leapfrogging Greg Laporte and Healey, which is no easy task at all. So we're going over to Spanners, who's in the pit lane. He'll be talking to some of the drivers.
I'm here with Blue Star Racing Team's Yoan Medart. I wondered how long it would be before I spoke to you. Great win.
Yeah, it was a nice win for me. I needed to follow Ruben in the ranking, so I'm very happy for the result.
It was a fascinating battle with the 4 of you so close. When the other 3 blinked and pitted, was there any question of staying out, or you just wanted to cover them off straight away?
Yeah, it was difficult because everybody was close. You know, the top 4 was very close, so I was wondering if I blocked too much. You know, maybe Greg or Opnithi could also pass us, so I was trying to close but also to be fast and directly pit after after Michal. Yeah.
Maximum points. You can take Ruben this year, surely.
I don't know. We'll see.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank
Good
you.
luck. Great race win. It was only a matter of time before I was going to speak to him. A great race. And look ahead to this next race. Some massive heavy hitters. Brad Philpott has just said to me he feels like Barnsley taking on Man United with Ed White and Ruben Boutins as well on there. So it's going to be a fascinating race. I'm going to run up there and watch it.
Yeah, this is really one of those death heats we've got coming up. We've got some proper heavy hitters here, and well, it's going to be a tough one to do well in at all. From the top, we've got entries in this race. It's Brad Philpott, Adam Davis, Ben Bennyworth, World Champion Ruben Boutins, Remy Drazga, Lucas Niroda, Ramon Pinero, Ross O'Mara, Dan Chambers and Ed White. This is a very, very tough contest here. Now, a number of these guys have scored very well already.